through Wednesday, although I'm doing it on a Saturday, but don't tell anyone. Today we're doing a big Belgian Blonde. We've got a beer smith recipe that I've altered around a little bit. So I've got the mash going, it's already mashed in. We're doing a 150 mash for 60 minutes in the tun. At the moment I have got 8.5 gallons of water. I'm going to boil it down. Well, after the mash it'll come down to 7.5, 90-minute boil today. Want a bit above 6 to come into the fermenter. So only one hop addition today in this Belgian Blonde, and that's going to be 1.6 ounces of Liberty for 60 minutes. Put that in 30 minutes after the boil starts. Now I'm just about to add some beer dust into the mix. I've got sterile water or distilled water. There's the containers there, distilled water, and then I put 1 pack of this in because it's per 5 gallons that goes into the fermenter. Lots of good stuff in there. Works well for me, so that's what I use. I have got some pH stabilizer in there to set it down to 5.2 and checked it's on. Yeast nutrient will go in later, and a flock tablet will go in later. And today we've got an addition because I'm going to try and get it around 8 to 9%. I'm hoping for 10.5, but we'll see how we go. So I'm going to put a pound and a half of sugar in as well, and that's what the recipe calls. So in the mash today is 12 pounds of Pilsner, half a pound of wheat malt, 4 ounces of Cara Vienna, 4 ounces of Crystal 20, and 4 ounces of Vienna. And the other additions will be the 1.5 pound of raw sugar, and that'll go in 15 minutes left in the boil. Alright, so I've got a huge yeast starter for this one as well. Trying to, you know, obviously the more percentage, you need a lot of yeast. So, check your back when there's something happening for the boil. Okay, so the boiler's finished. Lift the mash tun up and it's draining now. It's just about finished draining. Now I just plug the 240 volt in and turn it up. I love the 240 volt. She's on its way straight away. So we've got a 90-minute boil. I'll boil it 30 minutes and then I'll put the hops in. First hop addition is 1.6 ounces of Liberty, and that's pretty much it. So I'll hit you at the end of the boil when we're going to put the sugar in, and I'll mix some wort with the sugar to dissolve it first, and then we'll keep boiling it off, and we'll also probably at that stage add some yeast nutrient and a whirl flock tablet. I want this one nice and clear, so I'll put the whirl flock in. So see you then. Okay, promise you the exciting stuff again. Here's so it's an ounce, 1.6 ounces of Liberty. Changed it over from the Hallertau, which is traditional for a Belgian Blonde. Liberty adds a little bit of something to it, and this is a recipe out of another friend's book, which I really like. So I'm going to stick to the hop schedule, and that's 60 minutes left in the boil now, and then I'll see you at the end of the boil. Okay, there's 20 minutes left in the boil, and I've got a pound and a half of raw sugar to put in now. And if I'm ever going to make the recipe work and hit my final gravity, that's what the recipe calls for. So to help mix it, I'm going to get some wort. So I'm just going to plug in the pump and take some wort out of here. It's going to be pretty hot, so it's going to help melt the sugar. And before I put it in, instead of putting the sugar straight in and then hitting the element and doing some funky stuff that I really don't want it to do, or burn, scorch, which is what I really don't want it to do, this is what I'll do. And then, you know, law of gravity, that should go back down. Open him up. Yeah, look at that. Set him off, hook him back into the chiller, ready to go, ready to start the chilling. And then it's just a matter of stirring it in. Beautiful, that makes pretty easy actually, which is good. I think the hot water helps definitely. And then pour it back in, and it's another 5 minutes. It will be time to add some yeast nutrient, and then a well flock tablet as well. So I'll pop them in there too. But boil's going good. I think I'm going to hit my numbers. It's boiled down a lot. This 90-minute boil is going to bring it right down, 1.5 gallons. I'd say it looks like it's gone. Yeah, it's pretty much right on 6 now. You never know with these big hop strainers in there, though. It can change the measurements a bit. I think it's pretty important to get pretty much mixed in perfectly before you dump it back in there, though. Well, it looks pretty good now. One of the things why I'm using the raw sugar is for the colour. I could have used Belgian candy sugar, and that's what the recipe said, Belgian candy sugar, but for the price of that and for the price of just raw sugar in a container, it was a no-brainer to me. Yep, beautiful, all mixed all in nice. So now we'll just continue the boil for another 20 minutes. I'll put my well flock in 5, and I will see you for the cool. Okay, so I'm going to use the Inkbird hooked up with the motor of the plate chiller to cool it down. So start it nice and slow, so I know it's going to pop everywhere. And so what I'm doing is running it through the plate chiller to cool it. That's how we go. So it's running back in through the plate chiller now. I'm going to go up the side. I've got the temperature probe of the Inkbird running in there, and then I've got the pump that's funneling through the chiller hooked into the cooling of the Inkbird. So I'm going to use that to go down and let it run down, and then stop the pump when it hits the mark. So it's going into the fermentation chamber at 65, so I've got it set at 66, and then I'll just hopefully I won't overshoot it, and that'll give me a little bit of leeway, because you never know when I stir it, it might not be as cool as what it says it is. But that's moving it down pretty quick at the moment. I'm sure once it gets a rattle on, it'll cool really quick. So that's the setup I've got there: hose in, hose out. The little pump pumps straight into the chiller, and then I've got it running back. I used to try and do it into the fermenter, just too hard to get that damn temperature right. It wants to cool it at the moment in Seattle, so damn cool. I think it comes through there at like high 40s, so it's hard to restrict it enough to get it down. So this is the way I'm going to do it. So yeah, it's coming down now. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a stir in a minute to make sure I get an accurate temperature on the probe, but that's the way I'm doing it. And that'll hit 66, and then the motor will turn off and the cooling will stop. I know, I'm lazy. I like the fully or semi-automated stuff. Okay, brew day just about finished. Just only thing left to do is pour in the yeast. I've got a huge yeast starter this time. I've been doing that for 2 days. Should have plenty. I've got the tilt ready to put in as well. I like the little tilt. I'm checking the gravity now on it, and it looks like about 1090, just a bit under 1090, 1085 maybe. So it's not, I don't think it's going to ferment down, but it's going to be right on 10%. I'd say it's going to be a 10%er, so I'm pretty happy about that. Let's keep this tilt honest. Let's see if I can put the tilt in now and see how close the tilt is to the hydrometer. Oh, too far. There we go. Okay, let's put him in. No, did I put that up? Oh, got it in the wrong side. No, I didn't. There we go. Okay. So temperature is where I wanted it. See how far that comes up. Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. Fairly close. The temperature is pretty close to, I think, from where I need it. So I'll quickly check that. Obviously don't want to bore you guys with all this crap, but hey, it's all fun, right? Cold. It's freezing here in Seattle, 61. Alright, so let's get that in the fermented chamber. And huge yeast starter. Hopefully I'll ferment this down. There's should be a lot of damn yeast in there, and it's the AB yeast. And then I got the fermentation chamber already ready to go. Oh, it just hit its temperature too. So I just did a build on this at the moment. I'm running the heating mat because I haven't got my tube heater for the bottom yet. I got two fans. One's attached to the cooler, so it comes on when it cools, and the other one just blows constant down the bottom all the time, just to hopefully keep it more accurate. So let's get her in there too. Alright, I'll cross you back at tasting. So it's day 4 of the fermentation of the Belgian Blonde. It's coming down really fast now. 10:30, 6:37, sort of bouncing between them. I know it's coming down pretty fast. 64 degrees the tilt says. The Inkbird, I think I trust the Inkbird. It's set to 65. I think this one's or 60. It's pretty close. So that's what I'm doing. On the front of the fridge, I've been writing each day where it's coming down, just keeping track on it. It seems to be coming down a lot now. I think this is the most active part of the fermentation. Yeah, it's bubbling like a champion, which is good. I'm glad I didn't want to under pitch the yeast at all. Not with this one. I want it really nice and clean for Belgium, for the style of it, the blonde. Got the heating pad, the blanket wrapped around the back as well. So I've got one fan that comes on when the cool comes on. That's around the side there, and then the other fan down the bottom runs all the time. My heat tube gets here today, so I'm looking forward to putting that in. But then I also run the Inkbird down into a thermal well into the center. Instead of taping it to the side, you know, with some insulation. I don't know if it's better or worse, but if anyone can tell me if there's a reason why everyone doesn't do that, I'd love to know, because pretty important to get it right, fermentation, especially with this style of beer. Pretty soon, when most of the fermentation's finished, I'll start ramping it up a couple of degrees every day until it goes up to where it wants to go over the space of the 2-week fermentation, and then I'll keg it. And then, okay, so I'm kegging the Belgian Blonde. There it's going in now. It's a nice colour. It's already come out pretty clear, which is good. And that'll go into the keg. And then what I'm going to do, I'll show you in a second, is I'm going to leave it in the keg for about 2 months, 3 months maybe, and carbonate it using honey, natural honey. Orange blossom honey is, I tasted a few honeys, and if you're ever doing anything with honey, you want to taste it, make sure you get a good honey. I think that's the basis of everything you do with honey, mead included. And that'll naturally carbonate it and give it a little bit of a meaty honey taste, similar to another Belgium, big heavy Belgium that I've tried. That's another 10.5% Belgium, and it hides the booze. And with the spice and the orange, it gives it a really nice taste, makes it very easy to drink, and that's what I'm after. It went all the way down to 1010, which is great. Colour is where I want it. Hopefully it'll finish out a little lighter and clear up a bit, I hope. It's already fairly clear, which isn't too bad. So I'll cross you back when I put the honey in and show you what I do with the honey. I've just got 450 grams of honey, and I've diluted it with a little bit of this, and gently warmed it on a double boiler so the heat doesn't directly touch it, and I warm it up to about 80 degrees, and then stir it in, and then I put it in on top. There's the thermal well too. That's the thermal well I use with the temperature gauge. It goes down into the thermal well into the fermenter rather than taping it to the side. Okay, I've got her in the, this is my fermenting fridge, but I also use it as a lager fridge, or whatever. I'm just cold crashing this one. It's not really lagering, but I suppose I've got it set for 42. It's just turned on now. The fan's going to cool it down. So it'll be in here for 2 months. I'm going to be in Australia for a month, or 3 weeks should I say, and then I'll be back, and then I'll get that out there and test it. The honey's in there, and then I just shot it with gas, CO2 to get out the air out of there, and then purge it a couple of times. Just enough. There's just enough CO2 in there now to seal the lid. And then as far as how that tasted, it tasted very good, very clean, boozy still, not overly boozy. I actually expected it to taste a lot more boozy for 10.5. It definitely needs, I think, a little bit of aging and curing, and to mellow out and everything jive down, so you can taste those spices and you know, the nice clean crisp backbone, and yeah, hopefully a little bit of that honey orange. But yeah, it tastes really good, really good. So we will I'm going to post this. I'm not going to wait for the tasting, because you know, it's gonna, I'm not waiting for 5 months to taste this thing. I'm gonna I'll post this video now, and then I'll do a drop back with the tasting later on. So hope you enjoy the video, and if you'd like to see more, subscribe and press like, and if you've got any questions, or if I screwed any information up or got something wrong, please let me know, because it's a learning thing for me, and I like to learn and learn from all you guys that are obviously doing it and have done it before. Cheers.